All right, 2 days here. So this is deadlifts from yesterday, and then I'll have bench from today in here. So tough day on deadlifts, and not that it went poorly. I mean, this did. So we've been warming up with hook grip and just kind of working on seeing how far we can take hook grip. And my coach said, like, this is more like a grip training thing than anything. But I'll be honest, like I started to get a feel for it, and even though my thumb is very short and my hand is very stubby, and like I can't get a great purchase on my thumb. Last week when we did it, and I got up to like 400 pounds, like it felt good. Like it felt viable almost. And granted, it's 400 pounds, so like it doesn't necessarily matter. But I was able to get a good purchase on the bar, and so like it felt decent. And then today or yesterday when I was doing this, I just couldn't get anything. It just didn't feel good. And the thing is, it's the same bar. It's my own Rogue Ohio deadlift bar. It's got great knurling. And the thing is, when I finish, I switch over to like a power bar, which I think would be almost impossible to hook grip. But yeah, I don't know if it was maybe like I was missing something in the setup, because there was a whole tutorial I watched that was explaining from my coach. It was explaining how you use internal rotation to be able to set it in there. But yeah, I just couldn't figure it out. And I was getting frustrated with it. But it's not a big deal. That part of it doesn't matter. But, as I was warming up, it's interesting because I was starting to realize that like part of my frustration is also the fact that because of the grip issues and us having to completely change how we're approaching the training, which the major change is I've always done deadlifts with straps, at least for the last like 3 years, and then done grip training separately. And a lot of the grip training was static holds in a rack, double overhand with chalk. So there you go. That's my attempt at like 430 hook grip. And I probably could have just double overhanded it, but, just couldn't hook it that day. But we've always just trained grip separately. It worked up until a certain point. I've pulled 705 in a meet. I got red lighted, but I held it. So it's not like that didn't work. But then all of a sudden we got to nationals, and something happened with my hand, whether it's the swelling or whatever, or if grip had just deteriorated in a weird way with my left hand, because that's what it seems like. There you go. I think that's the video where I just pulled the same weight I couldn't hook grip, just to show people that I could, because people were probably looking very confused about why I missed 430. But yeah, and then we went up to 573 on this day on the power bar. This is my Ohio regular power bar. It's thicker than a Snicker. It's got freaking knurling like a cheese grater. So like, it's a good bar for training the grip on the hands. I did 3. It was supposed to be 4 reps with a hold. I ended up doing the same thing that happened last week. I did 3 reps. And then I did a separate rep with as long of a hold as I could, which wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, hence part of the frustration. The back down sets, just to get some volume in here, 2x5 with like 556, I could do a strap. So this is just speed deadlifts. But I will say that power bar is different, especially while I'm fatigued, because now we're deeper in the prep. Like, you can't get that same initial pop off the floor with the power bar because it's so stiff. So it definitely made the deadlifts a little bit tougher to get going, but they still moved well. And my coach said they moved well. We were both happy with the overall speed, but I'll tell you, I can feel that difference of using a power bar. It definitely requires more, I would say, low back strength to get it off the floor, since you just don't have that initial whip. And it's not like I use like a Kabuki bar or a Texas bar normally. I'm using an Ohio deadlift bar, but yeah, you can really feel that difference. So, and then I did back extensions also without straps. This is, I think it's 315, but upon further review, on the right side, I don't think I put the 2.5 kilogram plate. So it might have been like, I don't know what that would make it, like 310 or something like that. I don't know. But either way, did these without straps. They felt good. It's just a good amount of lower volume on the back. We've done back extensions post squats, and we've done them post deadlift. When you do them post deadlift, it's just a long day on your back. But the weights we're using are so sub-maximal. Literally, like my deadlifts, and this is what I was starting to say, like my deadlifts are about 100 pounds less than they were last prep. You know what I mean? And so it's definitely something that I'm trying to come to grips with mentally, is like, because of the changes, because we're having to use the power bar, because we're doing no straps, and probably because we're doing back-to-back meet preps, there's a good reason for it being, 100 pounds less than the same similar volume. So, but that's fine. That went well. And a lot of people cheered for like just how good it was when I did 3 reps with 573. It's just hard in my head because I'm like, dang, last prep, I did 650 pounds beltless for 4, and it would have been 5 reps, but a dang clip fell off. So it's like, it's hard to contend with those differences, but alas. So then we had bench today. This actually went surprisingly well. And granted, like, This is also a lighter weight day. The goal on this day was to work up to close grip Spoto press. We had 292 pounds for 4 sets of 5 and then an AMRAP. And granted, again, like 292, very lightweight for me, but I actually felt good about this. It's still close grip Spoto, so it's a pretty, or not Spoto, I'm sorry, close grip Larson. It's still a pretty disadvantaged bench press. It's really working the triceps hard. You get no leg drive, but I was feeling good about these. These moved super explosively. I didn't miss any reps, so it felt really good. Everything was moving super explosively as well, so I felt really great about that. Got all 4 sets of 5. And then on the AMRAP, I think I got 7, which was pretty awesome. I will say, super sad, this rack that we just got at Rise not that long ago has started to seem like it's falling apart. The right side there, you can see when you put it back, it just rocks back so far. People have been blamed for it. I don't know. Maybe it just needs to be screwed in better. But I love that bench and I love that rack, so I hope it gets figured out and we figure out why it's starting to rock back like that. But yeah, this was, I think this is the AMRAP. So this is where I got 7. These feel really good. I mean, I definitely feel super smoked in the triceps. I feel it in my chest. Good long pauses on these. Yeah, no, sorry. This is probably the AMRAP. But yeah, these are great. Good variation. We started off with close grip, Spoto, Larson, banded. And so I kind of as soon as we started with that, I was like, I wonder if we're going to just start slowly taking apart some of those things. And that's what's happened. We lost the bands. We eventually got rid of the Spoto presses. So now we're just doing close grip Larson. I'm doing something similar with one of my clients, Natalie. And so it's been a good progression. And all of it's been close grip. So it's definitely working the triceps because lockout has been the long going problem for my bench press. Again, I've talked about this a lot. I've done 435 in the last 3 meets. Just want to break that 200 kilogram mark. And then these were really fun. So Bradford presses, it's literally doing an overhead press where you're never quite locking out and you're going forward to back. I did start, the program said I could do 185 to 155. I started aggressive and I threw the 185 on there because I thought it sounded cool. And I did end up knocking it down to 155 for the next 2 sets because at 185, it felt a lot more like I was moving my head around the bar, which you still kind of have to do to be able to go back and forth. But I definitely didn't feel like I was getting good reps until maybe this last set. And it said 3 sets of 6, but these are kind of weird to count. So, and honest to God, I think I just did an AMRAP. But I really liked how they felt. Really good, just kind of keeps it into the shoulders. I've been able to do overhead press in some variation basically every bench day, and it's such a treat for me. Really enjoying all the shoulder volume and following up with some front raises, alternating front raises. These feel great, but yeah, my shoulders were smoked. I think I actually asked for these last week because we did 35 pounds, and I was like, dang, coach, I think we can do a little bit more on these. So sure enough, I got 40 pounds for the front raises. Just tons of volume in the shoulder. It's going to be an interesting experiment going into this meet because, I think overhead pressing as a concentration works really well for some people. I've heard that it specifically works well for long-armed people. As big as I am, I don't look like I have long arms, but I do. I also have a really long torso, so it doesn't appear as long. But I do have longer arms, and it shows on the bench press, and I suffer sometimes in that lockout with those. And then we've been going really hard on these, just dumbbell reverse flies, just working the traps and the rhomboids and the rear delts. And then Operation Baby Hands, this is the most important part of the day. So it's a plate pinch. On the other side of that green 10-kilogram plate is a 5-kilogram plate. And the goal here is to just pinch the plates together. They're both smooth, so you don't really get any traction from what you're grabbing onto, and just holding it for as long as I can. So that, there's specific types of strength for your grip strength. There's crushing strength, there's pinching strength. I think there's another type of strength as well. But we're just working multiple angles of the grip strength. And really, for me, I'm concentrating on my left hand now because the disparity between the left and the right is outrageous. For those plate pinches, I can do 5 kilograms more with my right hand, and I can sit there and hold it for an excessive amount of time compared to the left. So it's a big difference. And that's what's happening on my deadlifts. If you watch that 573 for 3, when I get the third rep up, my left hand is already opening up. And the truth is, I think back to some of the first meets I did where I hit 600 on deadlift, and I used to pull sumo, and it would, my hand would open up. The crushing strength definitely didn't hold on, but I would usually be able to keep my fingers curled and hold it at the top long enough to get my down signal. And so, yeah, long story short, grip's probably always been a problem just because the anatomy of my hands is super small. But anyways, and then this was extra credit. This wasn't in my program, but I have a, like, you can call it a side quest or whatever. I want to be able to do the ab wheel from standing. I mean, these used to get put in my program all the time, and this is an amazing way to smoke the core, especially if you try to keep your toes down and you really roll out far with like good slow and control. But I've seen people like Zach Myers, super big guy, just do these from standing for a rep, and I think it's super impressive. I've seen 2 people in the gym do it, but I'm going to get there.